Hi gorgeous, and a very happy Frugal Friday to you. If you are new to the channel, welcome. I make videos like this every Friday focusing on drugstore products, so please subscribe and you'll always be notified of new videos in the future. Before I get started on today's Frugal Friday, I want to announce that December is going to be Drugstore December. I have so many video ideas for Frugal Fridays, I am overwhelmed. So I am going to be posting a drugstore themed or affordable themed video for every day of December. That is 13 drugstore videos. I may be a little dry on ideas in January, but I wanted to do this for so many of you who do love Frugal Fridays as an end of the year kind of celebration thing. And this may be an annual tradition. Who knows how this is going to turn out. Anyway, today's video is all about the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. Now this palette retails for $42, as many of you know, but I have found 3 dupes for it that are all under $13, and every single option that I'm sharing with you today are cruelty free. So what I'm going to do is show you these palettes up close. I'll give you my review of each one. I'll also show you what they look like on the eyes side by side compared with the Modern Renaissance palette, and I'm gonna have you guess each time and to see if you can figure out which one is the dupe and which one is the high end. By the way, I am not going to be showing you tutorials for each of the looks, but if you're interested in a breakdown of the looks that I'm wearing with each of these palettes, I will have them listed below for you in great detail so that you can easily recreate any of the looks that I'm showing you. The great thing about this video too is that I'm giving you 3 looks to do with these palettes, no matter which one you get, or if you already have the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. First one I want to share with you is from a brand called B.Y.S. This is their Berries palette. There are 12 eyeshadows in this palette, so they are missing 2 that the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette has. From what I've been able to find out, it sounds like the B.Y.S. brand is Australian, and I found this on Amazon's website. And they also sell other palettes that mimic some of the Urban Decay Naked palettes. So if you're looking for dupes for those, I would recommend checking them out because this one is an excellent dupe for the Modern Renaissance palette. The color payoff is extreme with this palette. You won't be disappointed in that aspect of it. I didn't find that it kicked up a lot of powder during application, which is a really nice quality to have. Some of those affordable palettes can sometimes be quite powdery on application. This one is the only one out of the 3 that I'm showing you where you can tell a slight difference between it and the Anastasia Modern Renaissance. At least I can. Can you tell which one is which? If you guessed that this eye is the BYS $10 palette side, then you are right. And surprisingly, I actually liked the color combination on the BYS side much better than I did on the Modern Renaissance side. And after wearing both of these looks all day long, the BYS side does hold up against the Modern Renaissance side. There was no fading, no muddying, and the eyeshadows still looked just as great as the higher end. Despite the fact that it is missing 2 eyeshadows to compare to the Modern Renaissance palette, this is a winner in my book. A very affordable price, great quality, and highly comparable to the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. Next dupe I have to share with you is from a brand called Beauty Creations, and this is their Irresistible palette. This palette does come with 15 eyeshadows, so you get 1 more than the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. And this one I read had the exact names originally from the Modern Renaissance palette written in its palette. And it looks like the company ran into a little bit of legal trouble because they did have to go back and rename the eyeshadows. Kind of funny. I often wondered if companies got away with doing stuff like that. I still don't understand how they're able to dupe one another without there being legal issues. I'm just gonna say that up front. Anyway, very comparable shades between the 2 palettes. The pigmentation with the Beauty Creations palette is spot on. There is no disappointment with this one whatsoever. I actually found a lot of the shades in Beauty Creations to be very easy to work with, easy to blend, very easy to apply. And again, after putting both of these on your eyes, it is really hard to tell the two apart. Can you tell which one is the $13 Beauty Creations eye? If you guessed that this eye is Beauty Creations, then you would be right. But again, it's really hard to tell, isn't it? It's one of those palettes that is a straight up copy. It's really, really good. And after wearing both of these eyeshadow palettes all day long, once again, I'm so very happy to share with you that there was no fading, no muddying, and the eyeshadows still looked just as great as when I had first applied them. And I actually liked, again, the Beauty Creations side much better at the end of the day than I did the Anastasia version. The last dupe I have to share with you for the Modern Renaissance palette comes from the brand Profusion Cosmetics. I talked about them recently. They just came out in Target stores. They carry an eyeshadow palette called Amber Eyes, and I was going to review this one as part of that video where I talked about Profusion Cosmetics, and when I started looking at it, I thought, oh, hey, wait a minute, this could be a dupe for Modern Renaissance, and turns out it is. Just like the first palette that I talked about from BYS, there are only 12 eyeshadows in the Profusion palette, so you are missing 2 dupes from the Modern Renaissance palette, but hey, at this price point, do you really care? It's not even like they're 2 of the best eyeshadows from Modern Renaissance. They're actually 2 of the ones that I never use personally. This one is not extremely pigmented like the first 2 dupes that I've shared with you. It has much lighter pigmentation to it, and you will notice that when you go to apply it. So there is a little bit more layering involved with this palette as opposed to the Modern Renaissance palette, but the color similarities are really hard to deny between these two. And I loved the eyeshadow combination that I came up with using the Profusion Cosmetics palette. It's actually one of my most favorite combinations that I've ever created with this array of colors. Very light and neutral looking on the eyes. Now you tell me, can you tell once again which side is Profusion and which side is Anastasia? If you guessed that this eye is the Profusion side, then you are right. And after wearing these eyeshadows all day long, once again, it gives me great pleasure to be able to share with you that the Profusion side really did hold its own against the Modern Renaissance side. No fading, no muddying, and the eyeshadows still looked just as great as when I had first applied them. So if you've been considering the Modern Renaissance palette, or it's one you've been interested in, save your money. 3 excellent dupes at a much more affordable price point here for you. Now I know someone's going to ask me, if you could pick just one out of all 3, which one would you choose? And that's tough because they're all really, really great. And I was impressed with all of them equally. But I guess if I were going to choose just one, it would more than likely be the Beauty Creations palette, simply because I like how compact it is compared to these other 2. You do get a dupe for every single eyeshadow in the Modern Renaissance palette, and you get 1 extra on top of that. So that would be the only thing I would say that puts this palette above these other 2. Let me know if you have found a dupe for the Modern Renaissance palette. I do know that Makeup Revolution makes a couple of them, but I wanted to specifically exclude them from this video because I've talked about them so many times in the past in comparison with other high-end palettes that I feel like people are tired of hearing me talk about Makeup Revolution. Plus, I wanted to give you some more unique options from some lesser known brands out there in comparison with this palette. So I do hope you found this helpful. I will have all of the palettes I discussed today linked for you below. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Please subscribe for more like this in the future, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Oh, by the way, I wish you a wonderful weekend ahead, and I'm looking forward to Drugstore December.